Oh, goodness.
All right, welcome. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good? Thank you for coming. As always, we are recording these sessions. They are being live streamed. So we have some folks in Harnett and in Pittsburgh. We also have people on the CCCC Lifestyles website at their desk viewing this session. But keep your voices down to a minimum. Please remember that you are being recorded. And wait for questions to be asked before you say anything. And also, once the session's over, I will be putting this up on my Blackboard site. That's under HR/professional development. Click the left-hand side link that says professional development, and it's the 2015 PD series. So if you know anyone that wanted to be here today and couldn't make it, it is recorded and available for them. But today's session is on data-tell mnemonics. And we have one more session on the 19th, which is advising with data-tell. So we're kind of building our schedule. We're hoping in the fall to also have some more hands-on data-tell training. But these wonderful ladies have agreed to help, and they're doing a fabulous job. So I'm going to hand it over to them because they are the subject matter experts. But thanks again for coming out.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today. If you haven't attended yesterday, my name is Jamie Steffler. I'm Dean of Admissions.
I'm Jamie Childress, Dean of Enrollment and Registrar, and I want to reiterate thank you because this is a dry subject, okay? It's really hard to put pep in it when you're not doing something with it and you're just watching. So thank you for being here.
So just to let you know what our agenda is for the session. We'll go over some points of interest before we start diving into some of the frequently used mnemonics we use in data-tell. Then we'll go over some of the most commonly used mnemonics, really towards the curriculum side of the house, and then we'll field any questions you might have. So just some points of interest when you're working in data-tell and you're going into all of these mnemonics. Just keep in mind that curriculum and our continuing education records are combined. So when you're looking at records, specifically, you'll see a lot of this in SPRO. The BSP is basic skills, that's Con Ed, that's Associate in Arts. So you'll see all of these codes on one record. And when you go into like specifically transcripts, terms, you'll want to specify whether you want curriculum or do you want continuing education records. So that's when you'll need to specify either CU for curriculum or CE for continuing education records. And most oftentimes you put CU because you're viewing curriculum records. There are a difference of terms. Continuing education uses CE1 for spring, CE2 for summer, and then CE3 for fall. And then our designations are a little bit different. We actually put SP for spring, SU for summer, and then FA for fall. And then, too, when you're popping up different mnemonics, you'll see these that you can choose from. You double click on the one you would want to view, or especially when you're going in a transcript, you would put CU or CE. So to dive into some of the mnemonics you'll be using frequently. ASUM we use a lot in admissions. We can view applications and when they've applied. And so on ASUM, it would be ASUM up in the search box, up in the form search. And you'll see here, underneath the first arrow, you'll see the academic program, the term they've applied for, CU being the curriculum level course, and then the date that they've applied. We also can look at prospect inquiries. Prospect is someone who inquired to our school but has not put in an application yet. And so that's the general prospect portion of ASUM. Again, as we mentioned yesterday, when you see a prospect, instead of it being AD up here, you'll see the PA status. We can also, from ASUM, branch off into TSUM, which is down here underneath tests. And we'll go into that here in a few minutes. That goes over placement testing, some testing exemptions, a lot of things that are tied to advising from placement testing. And also communication management, which is down here at the bottom. We can see sort of what the admission requirements have been submitted, what they have left to pursue as far as admission requirements are concerned, as well as what type of correspondence has been sent out. So for TSUM, there are 3 different sections of TSUM. It is TSUM, which equates to test summary. And you can view admission tests, placement tests, and other tests. And the next screen I'll go into kind of what the difference between all of them are. But Jamie's staff and then my staff, they are entering in different types of information on the TSUM screen. So when they do so, all of that scores or credit equates to what you see on the stack screen. And Jamie will go into the stack screen a little bit later. But that's where you see stack is where a comprehensive look of transfer credit, non-course credit, class that they've withdrawn from, or that they have a grade for. So that's a comprehensive look at what you'll see from coming off the TSUM screen. So to go into a little bit more in depth as far as what you'll see on the different sections of TSUM, the top portion, which is admissions tests, you'll see the testing exemptions. If a student has been awarded transfer credit, you'll see either math exemption or English exemption, or you may see both. We also put CLEP credit in there. The middle section is placement testing. So you'll see SAT, ACT, Compass, ASSET, and then the older AccuPlace that we were administering, like the reading, the sentences, the arithmetic, elementary algebra sections. You'll see all of those scores in the middle section. And then in the bottom section, underneath other tests, excuse me, you'll see our diagnostic math scores, which is the DMA 10 through 60. The new test that we just started administering this past Monday, the diagnostic English, you'll see those scores there as well. And when students test into the basic skills level, the mastering reading, mastering math, if they've successfully completed those courses, will indicate those underneath other tests. And then also advanced placement credit, as well as multiple measures, the placement testing waiver that'll be effective this coming fall. We will have that underneath the other tests as well.
Plan and PSAT test that can place our CCP students are also listed under other tests.
Underneath the communications management, CRI, you can view the status of the admission requirements. So when Jamie's staff inputs applications, they'll put these codes on the CRI screen. So you can see, like for instance, the college transcript. We received that July of 2013. So you can see when we received transcripts. Or if a placement test was incomplete, say they only took one section of the test, we would mark that incomplete. Or if placement testing, if they have testing exemption, we would waive it. So you'll see those 3 statuses primarily on the CRI screen. Also on the CRI screen, you can see what correspondence has been sent out. So for instance, this student had a deregistration email sent to them this past July. Also, they had some prospect information sent out to them as well. And you can see what date they were processed. Also, you can look at special credit, there's out of state, when they've applied, so you can see a lot from the CRI screen. TEVS is the Transfer Evaluation Summary, and this allows students to see, well actually, when you're advising a student, if a student asks, what type of transfer credit did I get from a specific institution? And so the TEVES screen will tell you that. So from the TEVES, when you first put it in the form search, you'll get this first screen that has all of the institutions on the record. And so you would just select the one that you want to review. And so on this example, I clicked University of Alaska Juneau, and then it gave me the bottom screen. So on this example, you'll see from the University of Alaska, the student from the Math 107 they took at that institution gave them credit for Math 161. So we can tell that student that's the classes you received credit for from that specific institution. And then I'll turn it over to Jamie for the.
Okay, so this is kind of a key screen for you to find out information to contact your student. It's their profile. Okay, so we all know that at the top we're going to see their address and their phone number. This is where it's actually going to give you more information about their program and their location. Okay? We do not use the two addresses, your mailing address and your permanent address. We have one address, okay? So that's populating on both your preferred mailing and your preferred residence. You have to remember, we're not a residential college, so we're a drive-in college. On the SPRO screen, you're going to be able to see additional information like, first of all, the student's program. That's on your middle line right here. You want to know if the student has had more than one program? If you put your cursor in any one of these fields, it will pop up with an arrow that you can then scroll over to see if they've had additional programs. Okay? If you drill directly in, it'll take you to see the information regarding that specific program, the term they started, when they told us they were going to start. We put the status date on there. Student types, here in the middle, applies to billing. If a student has a specific student type on their account, it is likely because we are waiving part of a tuition amount. Whether it's military, so that they're still coded out of state, but they're given in-state rates, that waiver removes that excess charge. For our CCP students, they have a CCPP student type, okay? That means it's going to waive all of their tuition charges. It doesn't waive their fees. We set up the student types differently so that we know what type they're going to waive, and it's a little different for each one. We'll probably have to come up with another one with our Choice Act for our veterans' sake. The next field here is your home location. We're getting that from the application, okay? I can't promise you that my staff, we've had some turnover, so they're building that knowledge, but it takes a good year and a half, 2 years before they've done everything in that office twice, okay? Because some things only happen once a year. But they may not know. They do at this point because they've all been there over a month. But the vet med is not offered in Pittsburgh, or it's not offered online. But that's what the student indicated on the application. Okay? So that's what is populated there. We use that. I would like for us to do better about that, but we are so innovative in offering things in so many places that it gets a little more challenging. And we have students who might actually have 2 home locations because they're taking 2 classes here and 2 classes online, and distance is a location. And they may work in Chapel Hill, but needed a math class and it's offered at night in Pittsburgh. You know, so we try to, in this, for the high school students, you will see that that location indicates a high school system, whether it's CCS for Chatham County Schools or LCS for Lee County Schools. Even though our private schools and charter schools are not part of that educational agency, we will still group them so that we can identify those students. Okay? Your advisors are then listed there. Okay? Now, unfortunately, on WebAdvisor, once we have an end date, you no longer show. Okay? Even if it's a date in the future. Recent discovery. We were trying to clean up advisors, always trying to clean up advisors. We found out even if we're putting an end date at the end of the semester, that advisor can no longer see that student through WebAdvisor. We have a batch process for reassigning advisors. It adds the new advisor and it shows the old advisor removed, but it doesn't really remove them. It just tells you in the report it does. There's a ticket to colleague about it, okay? But the only way we know to change advisors is when we get a new application for a different program, or when somebody says, hey, this student is really a Harnett County student, will you please change it? Or this student is now doing networking at the telecommunications site, so can we move their location, change their advisor? Okay, that's the only way we know how to do that. Okay? Next week. More on SPRO. Okay? If you drill in, you're going to be able to get to other mnemonics. Okay? So, as I mentioned, if you drill in on the program right here, you can actually get into SACP, which is Students Academic Program, and you can look at their own programs. Okay, if when you scroll over, there's another one, you can drill into it and see when they stopped being an electronics student and became a CIT student. Or when they stopped being criminal justice and became Associate of Arts. Also from here, you can drill into the student's restrictions. Now, restrictions will prevent registration. As advisors, you're allowed to remove some restrictions, just some, okay? You can remove the advising hold. You cannot remove the advising hold by drilling into your personal restrictions from this screen. It will simply show you what restrictions are there. You actually have to go to the restriction screen to remove them. Okay? And then you can also look at all of the terms that the student has been here and continue to drill in if you want to see what classes they took in the past. But there are easier ways to see that. Okay, section meeting inquiry. In DataTel, there's lots of ways to get to the information from different routes, okay? It's just which is more convenient based on what it is you want to see. As a faculty member, when I wanted to see anything on a roster, I went to SROS and just didn't print it. Truly, I didn't know about SMIN then, okay? It was on my cheat sheet, but I never used it, okay? Now, the nice thing about the section meeting inquiry is that it tells you the true enrollment, okay? So if the class has a cap of 25 and it shows you you've got 22, then you know you've got 3 spaces and you can go ahead and get Johnny in, okay? What else is nice about this is, you know, a lot of us use our RGN screen to get information when that's really not the place to get that information. It's not the best place to get it. If you use SMIN, you can actually see all of the meeting times. Okay, so let's say that this class was a hybrid. It's not, it's an LO1 section. But if it were a hybrid and it had the online component, I put my cursor in here and scrolled over, it would then show part of the lab or the lecture online. Okay, so that you would be able to see that. Just like it generates the multiple rosters, those multiple rosters would show there. SROS. This is your friend, okay? Now, the advantages is that you can pull it for a specific date range, a specific term, for a specific set of instructors, subjects, courses, sections, or locations, okay? Very versatile. You do not want to run it wide open, okay? It will take a while, okay? But this is one of the report functions within DataTel, okay? So, you want to have your information up top set to show the student ID. I may have this on the next page, I'm not sure. Yes, okay. You want your parameter set so that you're looking at the student's ID, not their social security number, so you're not printing that anywhere, okay? You want it set for double space. I promise you it's easier to read, okay? You know, even when with glasses, sometimes I feel like I need to put on reading glasses, and I'm now wearing bifocals. But you want to have it so that it shows cross-listed. That's specifically to accommodate our Basic Skills Plus programs where we have Con Ed or basic skills students in with our curriculum classes. You want to show any special needs that will help you so that you're aware if there are any accommodations for the students, dropped or withdrawn. For my first day roster, I would recommend you have that set to yes, so that you know, okay, well, Johnny did sign up for it, but oh look, Johnny dropped it, okay? And then we don't do waitlisted. And typically I print it with their home phone number, and the reason I do home is because a lot of students just list their cell as home number. So typically that home phone number, if you're trying to reach out to a student and you're trying to call every student on that class roster to say, look, you know, my husband's in the hospital, I'm canceling class. You know, you've got their numbers to at least reach out. You can do an email, but then they're available. Okay? You always want to put your term in that you're looking for, because that will limit your search results and not make the system work so hard. And then, as I said, you can specify if you want a specific class. If you want English 111, LO1, you would put that under section, okay? But if you wanted to know all English 111 classes, you would put English 111 under courses. Section has to have the 3-part component, English 111, LO1. Course has to have the 2-part component, English 111. The subject would be just every English class that we're offering. But then you could limit it and say, okay, I want all English 111 classes on the Harnett County campus. So then for my location, I would put HMC for Harnett Main Campus. Okay. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Okay, sorry about that. It was not like this 2 nights ago. Once the qualifiers have been entered, you want to select hold here. That's very important. It auto-populates to P for print, but it won't print for you. It'll go into La La Land, okay? So you want to change it to hold, and that will then allow you to generate the PDF and export it to print, okay? If you just want to look at it on your screen, you also need to put it as hold, okay? Now, once you've put hold, you're going to end up clicking Save All 3 times, I believe. Okay? And then it's going to generate your report browser. Almost all of your reports will work in this similar fashion. You'll have to hold them so that you can see them in the PDF. Okay? All right, so if you want to print it, once you've held and saved all 3 times, you're going to get this screen here, okay? And this is your process guide. It tells you how long it's going to take to pull those, okay? Once it finishes, and you can close this out and never see it. I personally like to, you know, I run some reports that take 14 hours. I like to know where I am, okay? So I leave mine up. But then you can finish it. You click finish, and then you're going to get your report that you can just look at, or if you want to print it, you need to export the PDF. When you export the PDF, you need to have your parameters set up to make it easier to read. Okay, so for rosters, you want it on landscape. Okay, for a registration statement, you would want it, or an eval, portrait seems to work better. But you always want it set at Courier font size 8. And you may or may not, you know, you may have to change depending on the report, whether it's landscape or portrait. That just comes from experience, okay? You can change the font size to larger if you're blind like me, but it's not going to be pretty and formatted, okay? It's going to run over to the lines and it's more difficult to read in the long run, in my opinion. Okay, stack, a student's academic credits. Okay, all types of credits show on the stacked screen. As Jamie shared with you, you have non-course credit. Okay? Non-course credit includes credit by exam. It includes credit by experience. It includes credit for the old placement format where we had the AccuPlacer. Those credits, if they placed out of the developmental math or English, it was known as non-course credit. The new DMAs, if they place out of it, that is placement test credit, because they wanted to create a new one. There is transfer credit, and there is waiver credit that we really don't use here. We might with the high school GPA, we're still tweaking that. I have a meeting shortly on that. but any type of credit is listed on there. What's also nice about the stack screen is you can see when the student started and when they ended. And remember when I talked about if you click in one of these lines, this pops up, okay? And this is where you could scroll over to see additional pages, all right? Anytime you see this Excel symbol, if you click it, it will export all of that to an Excel spreadsheet, okay? Which can be handy. It won't have the student's information on there, but it all, as far as Johnny and, his ID number, but you'll see everything Johnny took, okay? This student had transfer credit. This is semester hour credit, okay? You'll notice here, this semester hour credit is 3.333. What's that up? That's because we were on the quarter system for a while, and this student took a class under the quarter system, okay? For every quarter hour, it's 2/3 of a semester hour. Hence the weird numbers, okay? This is Con Ed credit, okay? Now, you will also need to note that anytime a student says, oh, I want English at 9 o'clock, and they register for it, and then they say, no, I think I would rather do my humanities at 9, then I'll do English after lunch, because if I don't have that paper written, that'll give me lunchtime. Right. So they delete their first choice. All of those will also show up here. Okay, so you can sometimes tell the students who really don't know what they want to do by going to look at their stack screen, because you'll see all these X's for the same semester. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, another really useful tool is the evaluation screen. Okay, when you use eval, it does some wonderful things behind the system. It's going to update the students' completed credits and their GPA when eval is run. I do it at the end of every semester for everybody enrolled that semester, okay? But if it's not done, if the student doesn't graduate, then it may or may not get done that semester, okay? That's a new workflow that we've added. I found it when I was doing co-op, I was like, their GPA isn't right. I ran eval and all of a sudden the GPA was right. I was like, there you go. Okay? Financial aid is going to start using this form also. So when you're setting this up, you need to always use it as in progress mode. Otherwise, you're going to mess up some stuff behind the scenes with financial aid. Okay? You never want to run it just in completed or all. Okay? It will mess up financial aid. Sorry, go back. Okay? Now, you can get to the screen multiple ways. If you weren't here yesterday, I shared you can do it by student ID, you can do it by social security number, you can do it by date of birth, which is semicolon, DOB, space, 6-digit date of birth. Then you got to pick which student. You can do it by name, last name, comma, first name, or first name, last name. Okay? Now we go. Thank you. Okay, again, when you're running this, it is a report function. So you want to save all so that you can look at it, export it, set your parameters, and I'm really sorry about, I don't know how things got shifted, but you're going to set it to career rate, and for this report, I personally prefer the portrait mode. Next screen. I can't believe you didn't look at that this morning. Turn that on.
First part.
Okay. The evaluation, all right, here's a couple of examples. Typically, it's going to be multiple pages. It's going to be a minimum of 2, even if they haven't completed and have only begun their program, because it's giving you lots of information, and that information is what the student needs to graduate under his program and this catalog. Okay? It lists that at the top. You're going to get the student's name and ID number. You're going to get the program, the catalog, and remember the estimated completion date is simply 2 years from when they say they're starting, okay, for an associate. It's going to give you their placement test scores. Then it's going to give you their GPA, how many courses they need. This is program GPA, this is cumulative GPA. Okay? Then it's going to start which requirements have they met. Okay? So this student brought in his humanities. That's transfer credit for Music 110. His CIS 111 class is in progress. He still needs his PC interface class. Actually, he doesn't. There's going to be a course substitution, but it's not there because I haven't gotten the form. Okay? So, this one course needed shows you where the student's deficient. Okay? The final page, if there's a third page, it will list other courses that the student has taken but haven't been used. That might include courses with an F or a D, or it might, because now our transfer programs can't use Ds, so they'll get posted down there. It will include older versions of courses. If this new catalog requires the latest math, I don't know, 175, 172 is replacement. Anyway, let's go English 111 because those are new too. If the student took an older version of the course, even though it's the same hours, it has a different number coming from the system office, and so it won't get pulled in all the time. And we have to do that manually. Okay? So sometimes you have to check those classes at the back. Okay? You don't want to print it, which is good. We've got a couple departments that print them for every student. Doesn't make me feel green, but if you just wanted a quick snapshot, the student's academic transcript will show you that. I used to use this when students wanted me to complete scholarship applications and I needed their GPA, because all of that is listed here. Cumulative and semester GPAs are listed here. You can then drill in for any semester and find out specifically what classes the student took and the grades that he earned. Okay? It also tells you that it's going to look at all types of credit. Okay? So institutional credit, transfer credit, other credit might be that CLEP test or an AP biology. Okay? And yes, I really like this for a quick snapshot of GPAs. Okay. Tran. Okay, this is how you could print an unofficial copy of the student transcript. Do I want you to do it? No. Okay, because you can see all the same information on eval. Transcript will not be updated until you do eval, as far as their GPA and all. So really, if you're going to be an eval anyway, may as well do it from there. The reason I don't want you to do it from here is truly self-serving, okay? When you run this report function, it automatically, this is one of the few reports that he automatically populates on your next screen. And then behind the scenes, to that imaginary server, it goes to an imaginary Datatel printer server that automatically goes in my office and uses very expensive paper. Okay? And we have a couple of departments that, you know, every time there's a new instructor, they're checking the student's transcript and they go to print them, and I'm having to pull out the drawer and, or, you know, they'll run it overnight and we'll come in and, you know, there's $200 or $300 worth of paper used. Okay? And so we'll charge your department. It's truly self-serving while I told you to do it. But as long as you hold it, it's all good, because then you can print it locally. So that's the big thing with the transcript print. When you run this report function, make sure you hold it and then export the PDF. Okay? And that's just an unofficial transcript. Okay, your personal restrictions. We mentioned this earlier. Okay? It's going to tell you about any type of registration hold or block. As a faculty advisor, you can remove the advising hold. Okay? Whenever you remove a hold, you need to do it the day before. Data tell is date driven. So if you're trying to register somebody today and you end the hold today, it's not going to let you register until tomorrow. Okay? So you always want to backdate it one day. Now, I'm putting together a list to put on the intranet of the different holds. There's already some issues. If you're trying to register a student and you see an error message, it explains to you what you need to do. That's already out there. But these are the most common that you would see. An advising hold. I put those on every semester. Okay? Then the state authorization hold. Is that July this year or last year? 14? Really? 13. Anyway, the feds said if you're offering online classes and you don't have an agreement with a specific state where a student is in the seat on the computer, then he can't take that classes. You have to apply to the state, get permission, and then you can offer the student classes. Okay? Alabama wants $10,000 just to look at the application. Okay? So that's where that hold came out. And we are trying to resolve that and hope to have it completed in the next 12 months, 12 to 18 months, that nationally we will have that resolved. But this was kind of a response to the Phoenixes of the world. Okay. So, and no, we thought that the whole state, college system as a whole would petition for us. No, we're having to do it individually, each of the 58 colleges. Okay. So, if you see that, we're having to pull that information, and there's not a good way to pull it. The student does a change of address. Hello. Or a lot of times it's, well, how am I going to get you that information when I'm in Pennsylvania? It's like, oh, you're in Pennsylvania. So it becomes problematic. You know, we're tripping on them, but we have to make our best effort. Okay? So you might see that. You might see this NTNRL. That's Jamie's shorthand for not enrolled. Okay? Our state reporting guidelines. We have a lot of students who apply for fall and then they say, oh, I really want to come spring. So, or they apply for spring and never show up and say, no, I'm going to come in the fall. We have to adjust their start term for our reports and our data to be clean that we're sending to Raleigh. So this is really to help reporting guidelines for Raleigh. Sorry, and because staff members in my office have to do like 4 different things, that's why it's there and you have to call my office. Okay? Administrative hold, a lot of times that could be because there's some issue that some of our administration's got involved in. It hasn't truly become a discipline issue yet because we're still trying to investigate, but we certainly don't want the student in a class until we know what's going on. There is, you may see a DISP, okay? You won't see the details. You'll just know, something happened. You might see a VPSS. Again, you won't know any details, but something happened. The VPSS and the discipline holds will not end or be removed until the student actually petitions and speaks with the Vice President of Student Services. Update application is different from application. Okay? Update application means, we haven't seen this student in a couple of years. We need to let them know that we're going to need a new application. App means we've already purged everything we got. Okay? We have no hard copies of anything. So we need a new application. Business office hold, they owe money. Library hold, they owe money. Parking fine, they owe money. school property, they probably owe money, okay? And then an RO hold, typically you will only see that when I'm dealing with a student who's a permanent resident and their residency card is getting ready to expire, or I don't have a copy of it on file, okay? So sometimes you'll see it when it's future dated, meaning it's not gonna grab them until their card expires, or their card's expired and I need a new copy so that we can continue to give them in-state rates. Okay? Next. Okay. Perks. If you try, it'll give you an error message saying you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this because. Okay? Which is everything I just told you. You owe money or you had an issue. Okay? RGN. This is where those perks come into play. If you have not ended the restrictions, you're not going to be able to register the student. On your registration page, you need to always make sure that the term that you want to register the student for has been noted. If it isn't, then you're going to need to start the course you're looking for with that term. So 2015 SU space English 111, and then it'll populate it. Okay? Another cool feature on the registration screen, it tells you as you're adding classes how many classes students registered for. Okay? Next. SCHD. Oh, I'm sorry, go back to RG one time. Okay, when we register a student, at the end, we save all and it prints. A lot of folks will go to see what classes a student is in and save all again. You don't want to do that, okay? Because it then ties your name to the student's record. And if something is wrong on what the student's registered for, it's tying you to that record, okay? So be aware, that's not where you want to see what the student is currently taking. You want to go to, next screen, schedule, okay? SCHD. So, again, another report function. You're going to put in the term, and you're going to put in the student's ID. You're then going to hold it so that you can export it and print it. Okay? A lot of times we have students who want to know their schedule. This is what we need to do for them. Okay. Web attendance, all of our favorite, okay? XATT is how you run an attendance report, okay? This is what I run that takes me 14 hours. If you're only running it for yourself, it won't take that long, okay? Again, you can run this by term. I use a saved list, so I'm not running it wide open for the term. You can run it by specific courses. Very beneficial for department chairs to make sure that all of their instructors have done it. Specific sections, specific locations, or specific instructors. Right? And obviously, the more parameters you put in, the more narrow your results. Okay? There are detailed instructions on how to print or view your web attendance rosters on the intranet. Next. Is that it? Sorry, I was rushing. I knew I was getting close to time. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Lots of information.
I know, it's like overwhelming, isn't it? Yes, ma'am.
On the screen, when it lists the programs, are they in any sort of order? So maybe like is it done by date or status, or when you're scrolling through?
Yes, it'll be the last one we got.
Okay.
So the one on top should be the most active.
Okay.
But it could be a future one. So they could be getting ready to graduate from one program and had already put in an application for a new program. Any other questions? There are lots of helpful information on the intranet. Cheat sheets for these mnemonics. Cheat sheets about, ooh, I got an error, what does it do? A whole advising manual, okay, on what steps should I follow, okay?
Jamie, where are those located exactly?
They're on the intranet. We go to the intranet poster. They're under, typically they're under either advising or registrar. There are a few under instruction also, I believe. Everybody knows CCCC-COLHOME, right? There are a few, we've got a lot of forms on the intranet. There are a few that will never be there because students do have, some students do have access to that, okay? Grade change form will never be on the intranet, okay? Sorry. Just saying, you know.
I mean, academic advising, here's the advising and manual, placement testing information, registrars,
Yep.
calendars, perks.
Is there one that says hold issue? Or did I get them to remove that one? Yes, holds and issues. Registration holds and issues. Yeah. That one's useful because these are messages you may not understand. If you get a message, stop. Okay. Stop and figure out why you're getting that message. Sometimes it'll say the student has no academic program, and you're like, well, I know they're in the system. I just pulled them up. They might have been in there for Con Ed, and we don't have a curriculum file for them or an application. Okay, or they don't have a priority. Okay. Yes, they were here last fall, but they didn't come spring, so they don't get first dibs. Okay? Only those currently enrolled get first dibs. They'll get next dibs. Completion. We want completion. Okay? And the new will get the next, you know. Any other questions? Okay. I know we have a class because the student already tried to come in.
Yes, thank you all for coming.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Remember our session on the 19th,
Yes.
and hopefully in the fall, we'll have some more hands-on training. So if you have any ideas for topics, send them my way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to call.